Gen.G did what felt like a true impossibility. We're here rocking with Cheese from Game 7 of the Grand Finals Open 3 against Team Ultimates, who seemingly held destiny in their own grasp. Gen.G, before this matchup, it was like, okay, let's see what form they're in. They're going to go to their tiebreaker against Space Station Gaming, and Ultimates are going to kind of bolster their resume going into the Birmingham Major, but no. Champions Field got him up against the ropes. Seems like all of the momentum coming into this game is in Gen.G's favor. After Ultimates go up 3-1, a timeout has totally changed their fates. And let's just take a brief jog through the results here as Cheese with a big beat to that corner boost over Chronic, who's going to try and track his way back to the other side of the pitch. In groups, they take down Pioneers, and Pioneers did not have a very good season. They've released their roster, but Pioneers won the first game in that matchup, and you're like, ooh, JNAP's, final event. Maybe there's a little bit of magic here. No, Gen.G shut them down. They go 3-1 after that. They lose to Complexity in 5, a matchup they've struggled with. Complexity had a great split going into Birmingham here. They win against Deleted. Magic Bear, more demos than Deleted Gaming combined, and Deleted Gaming getting bounced from the tournament. Another win for Gen.G's hopes of making it to the first major with that win there, with 9 lives dropping out early as well, and Team Evo not even qualifying for a major event. We move on. They beat Pioneers again. It's in 5, but hey, it's a tight one. JNAP's excellent career. We'll talk about him more in the future as well. Going into the playoffs, they take out Strictly Business 4-2. Strictly Business, no pressure, nothing to lose. Big win for them. Strictly Business were looking on fire compared to their recent results coming into the tournament. A win over Complexity. Every win, they held Complexity scoreless in that 4-1, as there are a billion demos happening on the pitch here in front of us. Rettel scores as many goals in that Complexity series as all of the 5 other players combined, as they move on to a semifinals sweep over Pirates on a Boat. They limit them to a goal per game on average. And here we are in the grand finals against Team Ultimates. And Cheese had an awesome event. We're watching from his point of view. We're going to shout out the other players as well. But, Cheese was tied for second in goals in North America coming into this event at 0.89. He ends up going up to number 1 after this open, just on fire offensively. He was last season as well, top 3 for North America. Now 3 splits in a row, if I'm not mistaken. And, Rettel's a huge leap from him, too. He leapt up 23 spots in North America's rankings, up to 0.72 goals per game. They really were starting to cook with some hot grease offensively. And Magic Bear, a huge help around the edges, as he's going to have a defensive foible here. Let's watch this one back real quick. Magic Bear's just going to kind of get stuck here on his own back wall. Thinks that he's going to be able to catch this one from Chronic, but Chronic gets a nice little extra touch, and LJ is there to slot it. But besides that, Magic Bear, huge leap in assists per game. Absolutely massive improvement in demos per game as well, for a player who I've complained about kind of being a little bit in his own world from time to time, not totally being part of a cohesive offensive attack, and somebody who plays the game in a pretty finessed way that doesn't necessarily get as physical with the opponents as I would like. Massive improvements there, as him and Cheese are going to try and, we'll say, confuse the defense with that double commit. Defensive efficiency for this team. Dramatic leap in shot finishing. They surged from 11th to 3rd in shooting percentage in North America. Excuse me, I got my notes mixed up here. Not only did they take that huge leap in shooting percentage, but also defensive efficiency, total 180. They jump up 11 spots in shots allowed against per game here. Big takeaways, and don't worry about the game only having a minute left here. We're going to go to a lengthy overtime. I think my word of the split is pressure. Coming in here, Ultimates, they get a huge win over NRG, basically their rivals in North America. And this one's theirs to win, right? They have dominated Gen.G and teams of their caliber all season long. LJ still is yet to secure his first regional win of his career, which is crazy for a player of his caliber. And they just have, all the advantages seemingly coming in. They put them on the ropes, like we said. 3-1 scoreline. How could you not win this? You're trying to get a big feather in your cap heading into Birmingham so that teams take you more seriously at the international stage. And, on the other side, Gen.G, who really cares? They feel like they have a second life against Space Station Gaming. If they lose this, they're going to force this tiebreaker series. And Reynolds said in his post-series interview that they felt really comfortable in that matchup against SSG. So it's kind of like a whatever, just like let's play our game kind of series. And Gen.G were able to totally lock in where Ultimates felt that pressure a little bit as the series went along. I think a good way to encapsulate that adjustment is when we're talking about comparing the Ultimates sweep in Open Qualifier 2 over Gen.G to this 7-gamer here, where in that first, in that 3-0 sweep that they had in the group stage of Open 2, we only had Gen.G spending about a minute per game in their offensive third. They were totally trapped by Ultimates, could not break out, could not get anything going offensively. And then here, it seems fractional, but, we know how much pressure Ultimates apply. They bring that up to about a minute and a half. And, spread across the different games, of course, some are better than others. But in this overtime here, we're going to see a ton of pressure that is put into the Ultimates half. A quick breakout here by Gen.G just to get it back over to the other side. Dangerous opportunity there by Reynolds, trying to set up some offense here. And just so many nail-biter fractional saves kept Ultimates in this game longer than you would have assumed. So I think all of that is a result of pressure. Huge save there by Cheese, trying to transition the other way here with a big pop over Chronic. The double there, and the Magic Bear can't put that away. But again, sustained pressure here as Chronic tries to rotate back. Credit where it's due. I had put out a video a couple months ago saying that Gen.G were in a weird spot. And, for what it's worth, they were. I wish I would have bit my tongue on saying that I felt like they should have made a roster move. Clearly, you don't doubt a team till it's over. That was a big lesson for me, especially when we factor in GK making their elite run in Europe as well. But I doubted that this team could envision themselves winning. And I wonder how this matchup would have played out in the semis instead of the grand finals, talking about all those pressure points that we're talking about the Ultimates were facing in this matchup, talking about that second life that Gen.G had against SSG. I think this would have been a different series if they had seen each other at a different part of the playoffs. But hey, got to tip your cap to Gen.G for being able to do what Ultimates could not. This again kind of reinforces my fears about this Ultimate squad coming in, and I know we're going to talk about that team more in the future as well. Huge for Gen.G. Still debating where I'm going to rank them heading into Birmingham, but we got a couple of weeks to figure that out. And open 3s and 6s are always weird. I've talked about this if you've listened to me on the Need Boost podcast or in some of my recent videos. Poab making their big run in this tournament for a top 4 is just another example of these always being weird. And there's going to be our final goal here. Let's watch this one back a couple more times. I want to see this from First Killer's point of view as well. And just see how this whole thing comes to be. Cheese trying to get the trip up on Chronic. Gives Reynolds the space to make that play. First Killer, just a weird push there. And watch this from a couple points of view. Let's see who we end up on next. I want to see LJ. Watch Magic Bear crank this over the top of LJ. Uses all his boost, can't get back to it, and then that right there, a huge beat to that boost in the corner. LJ is now trapped, cannot make a play on this, and who scores it but Magic Bear, who got that boost steal in the corner. Um, Hats off to Gen.G, deserved win, and really curious to hear from you guys. What do you anticipate from these two teams who both have qualified for the Birmingham Major? Is this a big bump in your perspective on one team or another, positive or negative? Please let me know in the comments below. Excited to talk to you guys about it. Hope you are having a great day and enjoy the rest of your weekend or day when you're listening to this. As always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And until next time, take it easy.